Hey everybody, it's me, Coffee Stitcher, on Sunday morning. Yay! My usual time. How was everyone's weekend? Hmm. Alright, awesome. I had a somewhat stressful week, so I didn't really get a lot of focused stitching done like I prefer to do. In fact, it was pretty much all over the map what I worked on. It was like, I don't want to do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. So there was really no rhyme or reason. I didn't I made a lot of progress on one, and I made unnoticeable progress on all the rest. But that's okay, because I worked on what I wanted to work on, and that's really kind of what matters, right? Um, so I don't really have a lot to show off today. I had a slight financial hiccup, so I did not make it to the sale. So there's only one piece of haul. Um, and but I do have a book. I have a very interesting book. Um, so there's that. Um, those of you in Stitchmania, we've got our full next year of Stitch-alongs created that I still need to go actually confirm that I'm doing. Um, so yay for that. Um, and then it's sort of something that I've been thinking about since my Just the Threads came in, and then was thinking about last night when I was working on my chatelaine. The chatelaine really doesn't require full skeins of almost everything. I'm going to have a lot left over. So what I think I'm going to try and do is a little bit of what Katie's been doing with her Frosted Pumpkin stitch-alongs. And I'm going to try and use a lot of these different silks and flosses that I have that may not necessarily be called for in a pattern, and just swap them out and just go from there. Because I've got all these things and I would like to use them, and that seems the most logical place to use them. Because with the exception of Krynic, I don't really do a lot of that. So we're going to try that and use some of these colors that I've never used before. So, anyhow, I guess on to the whip updates. This week finished Blue Jeans and Daisies, and I actually had one more day left on it before I called it quits, but I got off and didn't want to go back and frog. I was being lazy. So I got most of the top section for part 2 done. I just had to do the swan box. A word of advice, it's a 4-sided stitch. A word of advice to everyone doing Blue Jeans and Daisies: I would stitch the border parts first, and then, or the inside of the frame first, and then do the frame. Because I'm having to be very careful about not splitting threads and not and placing. So that would be my recommendation. So yeah, but I've got a fair chunk of it done. So I'm planning to save the centerpiece for last. So, so that's where I got on Blue Jeans and Daisies, and I will definitely be back to it at some point. Possibly in, I don't really have anything specific for November, which is family, friends, fall, and fun, I think. So I think for fun, I'm just going to pick whatever I want to work on. The ones that I like, because they're fun. So we've got that. And then I worked more on Opera House. There was one night we didn't have internet, so I had to watch stuff in the living room, or internet or cable. It was a big dramatic evening. And so I worked in the living room, and it had been a stressful day, so I was like, I'm just going to work on something simple. So I got a little more done on it So, I'm definitely enjoying it. This will probably be because I figure I will finish Poe during October, so I'm planning to have this as my other October project. It's also, like I said, it's a really good one for the nights when I want to stitch, but I'm just too tired to really focus. Alright, so the haul, I got the PDF version. The chart pack is coming, but I got the PDF version of Brooks Oz Santa. And unfortunately, I don't have all of the I actually didn't even have all of the DMC. I definitely don't have the Krynic, so this is going to be one of those things that I do a lot of it until I have to have the Krynic, and then I will just skip over those parts. So I started on the Dorothy ornament. So she's got an arm and a leg and part of her dress. So I started in on Dorothy. The DMC I will probably be able to, because I can splurge a little. I'm only going to need about, probably need less than $10 worth. So the DMC I can easily do. I know the beads come with the chart pack, so that'll be, I'm not too worried about that. So it's really just the Krynic that I'm going to have to, and the memory wire that I'll have to get. But Michael sells the memory wire, so I should be okay. So there's that, and that leads us to Octopus Treasure Garden, or Cave, which I'm going to continue on this week. But that's where I'm at. I'm almost halfway there. What I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out everything but Myrtle. That's what I'm naming the octopus. To finish out part 3, and then I'm going to do part 4, which fills in all of this area, and then I'm going to do Myrtle last, because I want to make sure I place her correctly. So, but I did the 2 pieces of coral, and I'm not sure if, and the seaweed fronds, or maybe it's algae, I'm not really sure which. I screwed up on the green coral piece, with its placement and everything. By the time I realized it was too late, and I thought, you know what, it's algae, no one's going to notice, and you really can't. So, next up I have 2 sea anemones, and then there's some stuff down here. So, it's coming along. I am still very much enjoying it. Still not sure what I'm going to do with the black work. So, anyhow. Alright, so, now for the book. I first learned of this book a couple of years ago on a friend's blog. And it's definitely not your standard adaptation of Oz. It's foreign, and I do have a couple of other foreign books that'll come up in their own month. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's quite literally 8 pages long. And I'm not going to show you the cover because I don't want to spoil the big surprise about it. So it's this edition is from 1982, but it looks like it was first printed in 1977, if I'm reading the copyright instructions correctly. The author is just listed as popular, and Magda is listed as the illustrator, and I think I've mentioned this before. Magda seems to be an illustrator name that shows up a lot, and I don't know if it's the same person, or what. I need to do some research on that. So, this one begins with little Maria and her dog going for a walk through a field. They encounter some very large flowers. So first, they meet a friendly scarecrow who is sad because he wants to be a real boy. Then, they meet a lion who doesn't have any courage and is also sad. Apparently, Scarecrow is able to travel on his pole. And then they meet a friendly green rattlesnake who needs a new rattle. And they discover a castle that belongs to El Mago de Oz. The wizard hears their wishes and decides to grant them. So now we have a new rattle for Green Rattlesnake, courage for the lion, and the Scarecrow is a real boy. Then all of a sudden, little Maria wakes up by some beehives. And it was a dream. I don't know about you, but my favorite part is, and here's the cover. I don't even know where to begin with this one. The last one was a little odd. This one veers off the tracks completely into Crazy Town. This is probably one of the most original adaptations of The Wizard of Oz I have ever seen. It's bizarre. I like the illustrations very much. I mean, how can you resist this lovely green snake instead of the Tin Man? I don't know. I just don't know. So there we go. Now you can see why I have been wanting this edition for so long. So there we go. There is one more Sunday left in Storybook September. That's what I'm calling it. And I've got another equally weird illustration-wise, but relatively normal. In fact, I think it may actually just be a straightforward retelling. But the illustrations make it worth it. And then October is going to be Wicked Witch October. So I know y'all have all gotten very used to the storytelling. Instead of books, I'll be showing off varying interesting Wicked Witch pieces that are in my collection. So that's what I will be doing. I don't know what I'll be doing in November. No clue. I may focus on movie merchandise, movie-specific merchandise, since November is when the movie is supposed to be shown, and only on one station. Stupid Warner Brothers. So, yeah. So there we go. I hope everyone's having a great week, and I will see everybody soon.